There is a delicate line where history meets the infinite, a boundary where our logic pauses and the universe begins to whisper its secrets. Tonight, we do not seek to solve the unsolvable. Rather, we surrender to the beauty of the unknown. We will walk through the corridors of time, examining the anomalies that science observes with quiet reverence. From the geometry of ancient sands to the radio waves of deep space, let your mind become a laboratory of peace. The data is vast, the night is long, and gravity is here to hold you safe. Close your eyes and let the heavy curtains of the present moment fall away. Imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a vast and ancient space, a structure not built of brick and mortar, but constructed from the very laws of physics that govern our reality. This is the grand hall of science, the archive of lost variables, where the unexplained is simply a question waiting for an answer. As you step forward, you feel the cool and conditioned air of the archive against your skin, a temperature perfectly regulated to preserve the delicate manuscripts of history. The air smells of old leather, parchment, and the faint metallic scent of brass instruments that have measured the stars for centuries. There is no magic here. There is only logic that has not yet completed its circuit. There are no ghosts in these shadows, only data points that sit outside the curve of our current understanding. You walk slowly across the polished marble floor. The sound of your footsteps is absorbed by the vastness of the room, creating a silence that feels heavy and comforting, like a blanket of calm. To your left and right, towering shelves rise up into the darkness above, filled with the records of humanity's journey, rows upon rows of binders, scrolls, and slate tablets, each containing observations from thousands of years of watching the sky and the earth. You run your hand along a wooden table, feeling the grain of the timber, and you realize that this place is a sanctuary for the rational mind, a place where we do not fear the dark because we know that darkness is simply the absence of photons, a canvas upon which the universe paints its most subtle mysteries. In this archive, we respect the scientific method, the slow and steady process of observation, hypothesis, and conclusion, but we also acknowledge that the universe is vast and our perspective is small. The stories held in this hall are the anomalies, the outliers in the data set, the moments when the predictable clockwork of the solar system seemed to skip a beat. As you continue to walk deeper into the hall, you see display cases filled with curious objects, a compass that points true south instead of north, a geological sample containing an isotope that shouldn't exist on Earth, a transcript of a radio wave that has no origin point in the known galaxy. These are the lost variables, the pieces of the equation that we haven't figured out yet. You feel a sense of profound peace settling over your shoulders, the tension in your muscles releasing as you realize you do not have to solve these puzzles tonight. Your only task is to witness them, to walk among them with a heart full of curiosity and a mind quieted by the certainty of science. The light in the hall is dim, glowing with the soft amber hue of vacuum tube bulbs, a light that reminds you of the early days of experimentation when electricity was new and the world was full of potential. You pass a section dedicated to time, where hourglasses filled with diamond dust sit beside atomic clocks that measure the vibration of cesium atoms. And here you understand that time itself is fluid, a river that usually flows in one direction, but perhaps, just perhaps, creates eddies and currents we cannot yet see. The concept of the unexplained is not a failure of science, it is the fuel of science. It is the horizon that keeps receding, inviting us to walk further, to look closer, to dream deeper.
As you drift further into this mental space, you imagine the millions of scientists, astronomers, and thinkers who have come before you. their collective knowledge forming the foundation beneath your feet. You are safe here, protected by the laws of gravity that hold you to the earth, protected by the atmosphere that shields you from the cosmic winds, protected by the very biology of your own body, which is now preparing for rest. Your breathing slows down, matching the rhythmic swing of a Foucault pendulum suspended from the invisible ceiling far above, back and forth, tracing the rotation of the planet in a slow and hypnotic dance. You think about carbon dating, how we measure the decay of atoms to determine the age of a bone or a stone, a process that counts the silent ticking of nature's own clock, and you realize that everything is connected, from the electrons spinning in your fingertips to the distant quasars burning at the edge of the observable universe. There is no separation, there is only the grand unified theory waiting to be written. The archive of lost variables is a place of infinite patience. The books here do not demand to be read, they simply wait, holding their secrets until the right mind comes along to unlock them. You find a comfortable chair in a quiet alcove, a chair upholstered in soft velvet that seems to absorb all fatigue. And as you sit, you feel the weight of the day evaporating, turning into gas, dispersing into the upper atmosphere of your consciousness. You are an observer now, a silent witness to the history of the impossible. You look at a map spread out on the table before you, a map of the world as it looked before the ice ages, the coastlines different, the continents shifted by the slow grind of tectonic plates, and you marvel at the dynamic nature of our home. Nothing is static, everything is in motion. Even the stillness of this room is an illusion, for we are hurtling through space at thousands of miles an hour, orbiting a star that is orbiting the center of a galaxy. This thought does not make you dizzy. Instead, it grounds you. It makes you feel part of a colossal, majestic system that operates with or without your effort. You are free to let go. You are free to power down the analytical engine of your brain and let the intuitive pilot take over. In this archive, we store the accounts of lights seen in the sky that moved with impossible speed, defying the laws of inertia and aerodynamics. We store the records of sounds that came from the depths of the ocean, frequencies too low for the human ear, but captured by hydrophones, singing a song of the deep that we have yet to translate. These mysteries are not frightening, they are beautiful. They are the reminders that there is still so much left to explore.
As your eyelids grow heavy, you visualize the neurons in your brain slowing their firing rate, transitioning from the rapid beta waves of the waking state to the slow, rolling alpha and theta waves of deep relaxation. It is a biological process, a chemical cascade of adenosine and melatonin instructing your body that it is time to recharge. The grand hall of science surrounds you with its silent wisdom, the shelves seeming to stretch into infinity, blurring at the edges as your vision softens. You are surrounded by the potential of discovery, but tonight the discovery is internal, the discovery of a deep and restorative sleep. You think of the explorers of the past who navigated by the stars, trusting in the mathematics of the celestial spheres to guide them across dark oceans, and you trust in that same mathematics now to guide you through the night. The logic of the universe is a lullaby, a repetitive, consistent, and unbreakable rhythm that cradles existence. You are drifting now, floating through the corridors of this archive, passing the section on quantum mechanics, where particles exist in two places at once, where reality is determined by the observer, and you choose to observe peace. You choose to observe stillness. The dust motes dancing in the amber light are like tiny planets, obeying their own gravitational laws, spinning and drifting in the quiet air. You are one with this system, a collection of atoms and energy resting in a state of equilibrium. The archive of lost variables is not just a place of history, it is a state of mind, a place where you can leave your questions at the door and simply exist. The pressure to understand, to solve, to analyze is gone, replaced by a profound sense of wonder. You are ready to journey into the specific files of this archive, to look at the Tunguska Event, to listen to the Antikythera mechanism, to walk the Nazca Lines. But first, you must rest. You must let the foundation of sleep solidify beneath you. The silence deepens, becoming a physical presence, a soft weight that presses gently against your chest, encouraging you to let go of the last threads of wakefulness. The world of science, of facts and figures, is the cradle in which you lie, a structure of immense strength and reliability. There is no chaos here, only complex order that you are momentarily too tired to decipher, and that is okay. It is perfectly acceptable to rest in the unknown. The grand hall waits for you. The variables remain safely stored in their binders. The equations remain written on the chalkboards of the mind. And you, the traveler, the scientist, the dreamer, are free to drift into the velvet darkness, carried by the gentle current of time, deeper and deeper into the archives of sleep. Leaving the cool and shadowed halls of the archive, our journey now takes us thousands of miles away and thousands of years into the past, drifting south across the equator to the arid and silent plains of southern Peru, to a place where the Earth itself has been turned into a canvas of immense proportions. You are standing now on the Pampa de San Jose, a vast plateau of dry, sun-baked earth that stretches out towards the horizon, framed by the distant, hazy outlines of the Andes Mountains. The air here is thin and incredibly dry, devoid of humidity, creating a stillness that feels eternal, a vacuum of silence where the wind rarely blows and the rain almost never falls. It is this unique atmospheric stability that has preserved the mystery at your feet for 2 millennia. Look down at the ground. Observe the geology of this landscape. The surface is covered in a layer of reddish-brown pebbles, stones rich in iron oxide that have been darkened by centuries of exposure to the sun and air, a process known as desert varnish. But here, etched into this dark surface, are lines of blinding white, pathways where the dark stones have been meticulously removed to reveal the pale, line-rich soil underneath. These are not random scratches, they are the Nazca Lines, and as we explore them tonight, we do not look for visitors from the stars. Instead, we look for the brilliance of the human mind, for the ancient mathematicians and surveyors who turned this desert into a monument of geometry. Imagine the patience required to create these geoliths, the sheer discipline of the Nazca people who walked this land between 500 BC and 500 AD. Walk with them now in your imagination. Feel the crunch of the dry earth beneath your sandals as you stand at the beginning of a line that stretches straight as a laser beam for miles, disappearing into the curvature of the earth. This is a triumph of surveying, a feat of engineering that rivals modern GPS technology in its precision. How did they achieve such perfect linearity without the aid of modern lenses or computers? The answer lies in the elegant simplicity of stakes, ropes, and the line of sight. Visualize the ancient surveyors, calm and focused, planting wooden poles into the ground, sighting along them with the naked eye, correcting for the heat haze shimmering off the desert floor. They understood the concept of the vector, the straight line connecting 2 points in space, and they executed it with a flawlessness that leaves modern scientists in awe. You begin to walk along one of these great lines, following its path as it cuts through the brown crust of the desert. It is a meditative walk, 1 foot in front of the other, guided by a geometry so pure it feels like a law of nature. To your left, you see a shape emerging from the dust, not a line, but a figure, a massive hummingbird etched into the soil, measuring over 300 feet long. Pause and consider the mathematics of this bird. The wings are not organic and messy, they are geometric, composed of precise angles and curves that maintain their proportion on a massive scale. To draw this, the ancients must have understood the principles of scaling, taking a small drawing and expanding it onto the canvas of the desert using a grid system or a series of coordinated measurements. It is a giant coordinate graph spread out over the sand.
The hummingbird suggests a knowledge of aerodynamics, of balance, and of the golden ratio found in nature. As you continue to drift over this landscape, floating just above the ground in your mind's eye, you see the famous spiral, a single line that curls in on itself again and again, tightening towards a center point. This is a logarithmic spiral, a shape found in seashells, in hurricanes, and in the arms of galaxies. The Nazca engineers understood that math is the language of the universe, and by carving these shapes, they were speaking to the sky in the only language that is universal. The sun begins to set over the pampa, casting long, dramatic shadows that make the white lines glow with a soft, ethereal luminescence. The heat of the day radiates back up from the ground, warming the air, creating a cozy and enveloping atmosphere. The silence here is profound. There is no rustle of leaves because there are no trees. There is no sound of water because the rivers are far away. There is only the sound of your own steady breathing and the hum of history. Some theories suggest these lines were pathways for ceremonial processions. Others suggest they map the underground aquifers, the hidden veins of water that flow deep beneath the dry crust, making this a map of survival, a hydrogeological blueprint. This idea brings a sense of comfort, the notion that these lines were a way to connect with the life-giving resources of the planet. As the sky turns from blue to a deep velvety indigo, the first stars begin to appear, and you realize the connection between the ground and the heavens. The spider geolith, with its long, extended legs, is aligned with the constellation of Orion, a mirror image of the stars carved into the dust. This observatory of the mind connects the macrocosm of the galaxy with the microcosm of the desert floor. The precision of the lines acts as a tether, holding your mind steady, preventing it from wandering into worry. Just as the lines do not deviate, your mind does not deviate from this path of relaxation. You are safe here in the vastness of history. The dry air preserves everything. Just as it preserves the lines, it preserves this moment of peace. You think about the sheer span of time these shapes have endured, the empires that have risen and fallen, the wars fought and forgotten, while here, in the quiet corner of Peru, the geometry remains untouched, a testament to the permanence of mathematics. The concept of a straight line is an abstract ideal, yet here it is made physical, a guide for your thoughts to follow into the realm of sleep. Imagine yourself tracing the perimeter of the great trapezoids, the wide, cleared runways that look like landing strips for the gods, but are actually cleared plazas for gathering, spaces of unity. The geometry is clean, uncluttered, and minimal, just like the state of mind you are entering now.
There is no chaos in a triangle. There is no confusion in a parallel line.
The logic of Nazca is a soothing balm for a tired brain. You float further, the darkness of the night now fully embracing the desert, the Milky Way stretching overhead like a river of diamond dust, mirroring the dusty lines below. The temperature cools to a perfect, comfortable degree. You feel a kinship with those ancient workers who moved the stones one by one, a repetitive, rhythmic task that must have been almost trance-like. Pick up a stone, move it to the side. Pick up a stone, move it to the side. The rhythm of their work echoes the rhythm of your sleep cycle. The mystery of why they did it is less important tonight than the fact that they did it at all, that humans sought to bring order to the wilderness, to impose structure on the chaotic canvas of the earth. You follow a line that heads straight for the horizon, leading you away from the waking world, leading you towards the soft edge of consciousness. The line is your guide. It is a silver thread in the moonlight. You do not need to know where it ends. You only need to trust that it is straight and true. The unexplained nature of Nazca is not a source of anxiety, but a source of wonder, a reminder that we are capable of creating things that outlast us, things of beauty and precision. The desert holds you in its open palm. The gravity of the earth feels strong and reassuring here. The mathematical perfection of the spirals and the animals lulls you into a sense of security. For if the ancients could create such order out of rocks and dirt, then surely your mind can create order out of thoughts and dreams. The windless night wraps around you like a soft blanket. The lines blur now, not because they are fading, but because your eyes are closing. The visual data is being replaced by the feeling of drift, of floating over the ancient sands. You are a surveyor of the dream world now, mapping the contours of your own relaxation. The geometry of the desert has done its work. It has aligned your spirit with the quiet, enduring pulse of the earth. You are drifting along the infinite line, past the spider, past the monkey with the spiraled tail, past the great trapezoids, moving deeper into the warm, silent, mathematical night. We leave behind the open plains of Peru and drift eastward across the Atlantic, following the curve of the earth until we reach the ancient sands of the Giza Plateau, where the Great Pyramid stands as a dark, geometric mountain against the star-filled Egyptian night. You are standing at the base of this colossus, looking up at the millions of limestone blocks that rise towards the heavens, a testament to the sheer will of engineering and the precision of the Old Kingdom. Tonight, however, we do not look at the pyramid as a tomb or a monument, but as an instrument, a massive structure built to manipulate the physics of sound and vibration. You walk towards the entrance. The air is cool and still, carrying the scent of dry sand and millennia of history. You enter the structure, moving into the grand gallery, a soaring corridor of polished stone that leads upward into the heart of the pyramid. The acoustics here are immediate and profound. The sound of your own breath is amplified, bouncing softly off the corbelled walls. You are entering a machine of resonance. As you ascend, you feel the weight of the stone around you, not as a crushing force, but as a protective embrace, a shield that blocks out the noise of the modern world. You reach the king's chamber, a rectangular room located perfectly in the center of the vertical axis. The walls here are different. They are not limestone, but red granite, quarried hundreds of miles away in Aswan and transported here with impossible effort. This granite is key to the acoustic mystery. Granite is rich in quartz crystals, and when quartz is subjected to pressure, it creates a piezoelectric effect, a subtle accumulation of electrical charge. Imagine the millions of tons of stone pressing down on this chamber, activating the quartz, creating a silent, energetic hum that permeates the room. You sit down on the smooth, cold floor of the chamber, leaning your back against the granite wall. Close your eyes and listen to the silence. It is not an empty silence, it is a pregnant silence, heavy with potential. Scientists who have studied this room have discovered that it has a resonant frequency, a specific pitch at which the room naturally vibrates. It is believed to be in the range of the F-sharp chord, a low, deep tone that resonates with the cavities of the human chest. If you were to hum a low note here, the walls would sing back to you, the sound waves bouncing back and forth, creating what is known as a standing wave. This is the physics of constructive interference, where sound waves combine to become stronger. Feel this imaginary vibration entering your body, a gentle rhythmic thrumming that matches the beating of your heart. The chamber was designed to be acoustically perfect, a sanctuary of sound. Some theories suggest that this resonance was intentional, designed to induce altered states of consciousness, to soothe the mind into a trance-like state similar to deep meditation or sleep. You are experiencing that now. The sound of the universe is low and steady. We speak now of infrasound, sound waves that are too low for the human ear to hear but can be felt by the body. The pyramid, with its massive footprint, acts as a lens for the Earth's natural vibrations, focusing the seismic hum of the planet into this very room. You are connected to the Earth's crust, grounded in the most literal sense. The granite blocks act as conductors, channeling this infrasonic energy into your muscles, encouraging them to relax, to let go of tension. It is a massage of sound, a cellular lullaby. In the center of the room lies the granite coffer, the sarcophagus. It is cut from a single block of stone with a precision that rivals modern laser cutting. When struck, this coffer rings like a bell, a pure, resonant tone that hangs in the air for an impossible length of time. Imagine lying down in this space, suspended in the center of the pyramid, surrounded by the acoustic shadows. The term acoustic shadow refers to an area where sound waves fail to propagate. But here we have the opposite. We have an acoustic focal point. The chaotic noise of your daily life cannot reach you here. The worries of tomorrow cannot penetrate these 20-foot thick walls. There is only the physics of the present moment. The geometry of the room, a perfect 2-to-1 rectangle, creates a sense of balance and order. Your brain waves begin to entrain with the low frequency of the chamber, slowing down from the rapid beta state to the slow rolling delta waves of deep sleep. It is a scientific phenomenon, the brain seeking to match the rhythm of its environment. The environment here is one of absolute stability. The Great Pyramid has stood for 4,500 years, surviving earthquakes and erosion, a symbol of endurance. You borrow that strength now. You feel the solidity of the floor beneath you, a foundation that will not move. The darkness in the room is soft and velvety, a sensory deprivation that allows your mind to turn inward. You visualize the sound waves as ripples in a dark pond, spreading out slowly, touching the walls and returning to you, wrapping you in a cocoon of frequency. The ancient architects understood something about the human relationship with sound that we are only just beginning to rediscover. They knew that certain frequencies heal, that certain vibrations bring peace. This is the unexplained mystery of the chamber, not magic, but a mastery of acoustics that borders on the miraculous. The granite contains the memory of the earth, the slow cooling of magma that formed these crystals millions of years ago. You are resting against geological time. The air in the chamber is ionized, fresh and crisp, despite the lack of ventilation shafts, another anomaly that keeps the mind clear and calm. You breathe in this ancient air, feeling it fill your lungs, oxygenating your blood, slowing your pulse. The sound of the silence gets deeper. It is a drone, a hum, the sound of the void. It is the sound of the space between the stars. You are safe in the acoustic shadow. The world outside continues to spin, but in here, time has stopped. The physics of the room holds you in a state of suspension. You feel heavy, sinking into the floor, sinking into the stone. The resonance of the F-sharp chord vibrates in your bones, a comforting heaviness that pulls you down toward sleep. You think of the precision of the builders, how they polished these walls to a mirror finish to ensure the reflection of sound was perfect. They built this for you, for this moment of rest. The pyramid is a machine for silence. The huge limestone blocks of the core masonry insulate you from the temperature changes of the desert night, keeping the chamber at a constant, comfortable 68 degrees Fahrenheit, the perfect temperature for sleep. Everything here is engineered for stasis. You are a variable in this acoustic equation, and the result is tranquility. The standing waves gently rock you, invisible hands of physics soothing your spirit. You drift deeper into the red granite, visualizing the quartz crystals glowing faintly with their piezoelectric charge, a dim inner light that guides you towards the realm of dreams. The mystery of the acoustic design does not need to be solved tonight. It only needs to be felt. The logic of the vibration is undeniable. You surrender to the frequency. You surrender to the weight. The Great Pyramid watches over you, a silent guardian in the sands, broadcasting a signal of peace that has lasted for eons. You are tuned in to that signal now. The static of the day fades away, replaced by the clear, low tone of the king's chamber. You are safe. You are grounded. You are resonating with the stillness of history. The acoustic shadows lengthen, covering you, protecting you, as you drift further and further down into the deep, resonant sleep of the ages.
From the dry and resonant chambers of the Great Pyramid, our journey now takes a fluid turn, drifting north across the Mediterranean Sea to the rocky coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, where we descend beneath the waves into a world of absolute blue and crushing silence. You are weightless here, suspended in the cool embrace of the Aegean, sinking slowly towards the seabed, where a shipwreck has lain undisturbed for 2,000 years. Among the amphorae and the marble statues, there lies a lump of corroded bronze and wood, an object that appears shapeless at first, but contains within it the secret order of the universe. This is the Antikythera mechanism, and tonight we do not see it as a broken relic, but as it was in its prime, a shining golden machine of unparalleled complexity, the world's first analog computer. Clear away the barnacles and the green oxidation of time and visualize the mechanism as it sits in a wooden case the size of a shoebox, resting on a table in an ancient study. We enter the machine now, shrinking down in our imagination to walk among the gears. This is a cathedral of mechanical engineering. There are at least 30 bronze gears here, hand-cut with triangular teeth, meshing together with a precision that defies the era of its creation. Listen to the sound of the machine in your mind. It is a rhythmic, metallic clicking, the sound of logic, the sound of order. A hand crank on the side turns, and the entire bronze cosmos begins to move. Watch the large main drive wheel. It has 4 spokes and turns once for every solar year. It is the heartbeat of the device.
As this main wheel turns, it engages smaller gears, transferring torque and motion through a complex train of ratios that calculate the positions of the sun, the moon, and the planets. This is not magic. This is advanced mathematics made physical. The ancients understood that the heavens operate like clockwork, and they built this device to mirror that celestial dance. Focus on the gear train that calculates the moon's position. It involves a gear with 223 teeth, a prime number chosen to model the Saros cycle, the period of roughly 18 years used to predict eclipses. It is soothing to think of this level of predictability, to know that the universe follows a schedule that can be calculated and understood. The mechanism does not rush, it moves with a slow, hydraulic grace. You are watching the pin and slot mechanism now, a brilliant innovation that accounts for the moon's variable speed, moving faster when it is closer to the Earth and slower when it is further away. This is Kepler's second law of planetary motion, physically built into bronze gears 1,000 years before Kepler was born. This anomaly, this unexplained brilliance, is a testament to the lost genius of the past. It tells us that human curiosity has always been capable of decoding the stars. The rhythmic clicking acts as a metronome for your breathing. Click, breathe in, click, breathe out. The gears turn and time flows like water. On the front dial of the mechanism, there are pointers indicating the position of the sun and the moon in the zodiac, and a small sphere that rotates to show the phase of the moon, black on one side, silver on the other. It is a mechanical planetarium. Imagine the ancient astronomer who built this, sitting by candlelight, filing the teeth of a gear with infinite patience. He was not worried about the chaos of the world because he held the order of the cosmos in his hands. You share that feeling of control now. The complex differential gear allows the mechanism to subtract the solar rotation from the lunar rotation to determine the phase of the moon, a calculation that requires a level of abstract thought that is simply staggering. But you do not need to understand the math to feel the peace it brings. Math is a language of truth, and this machine speaks the truth of the skies. Deep beneath the ocean, the mechanism rests in the silence, the salt water acting as a preservative, freezing the gears in a moment of time. You drift around the shipwreck, watching the light from the surface filter down in shimmering shafts, illuminating the bronze. The water is heavy and comforting, like a weighted blanket. The mechanism is a reminder that everything returns, the cycles of the moon, the seasons of the sun, the eclipses that darken the sky only to reveal the light again. Nothing is lost, only transformed. The gear ratios are exact. There is no room for error. And this precision allows your mind to relax, knowing that there are laws governing reality that are dependable and constant. The Antikythera mechanism is a clock that measures not just hours, but eons. It tracks the Olympiads, the 4-year cycles of ancient games, reminding us of the human element intertwined with the cosmic. The friction of the bronze teeth is minimal. They are lubricated by the oil of imagination. As you listen to the phantom clicking of the gears, you feel your own thoughts slowing down, meshing with the slow rotation of the earth. You are part of this great machine. Your heart beats in time with the main drive wheel. The complexity of the device is hypnotic, a labyrinth of circles and spirals that leads you deeper into a state of rest. It is a puzzle that has already been solved. The back dials consist of 2 large spirals, one with 5 turns and one with 4, tracking the metonic and callippic cycles, long periods of time that render our daily stresses insignificant. 19 years in a single spiral, 76 years in another. The machine invites you to take the long view, to see your life as part of a grand, majestic pattern. The green patina of the bronze is beautiful, a color of age and wisdom, blending with the teal of the ocean.
The silence of the deep sea amplifies the imaginary sound of the gears, a soft, repetitive thrumming that vibrates through the water. It is the sound of time passing without urgency. There is no rush in the movement of the planets, and there is no rush for you. The mechanism waits. It holds the data of the sky safely within its metal casing. You are safe to close your eyes and let the currents of the ocean carry you. The intellect that created this device is a companion in the dark, a reassuring presence that whispers that the universe is intelligible, that we are not lost in a chaotic void, but living in a structured, elegant system. The gears continue to turn in the dark, calculating the rise of Venus, the setting of Mars, the retrograde motion of Mercury. It is a dance of heavy metal spheres in the velvet vacuum of space, simulated by small metal wheels in a wooden box. The scale changes, but the physics remain the same. You feel a sense of awe at the continuity of knowledge, at the thread of science that connects us to the past. The Antikythera mechanism is a bronze cosmos, a universe you can hold in your hands, and now a universe you can hold in your mind as you sleep. The gears slow down, their revolutions becoming longer and more languid. The clicking softens to a whisper. The water creates a cocoon of silence around you. The logic of the machine becomes the logic of your dreams, structured, safe, and infinite. You are drifting in the Aegean, watched over by the mechanical moon, guided by the mechanical sun, secure in the knowledge that the machinery of the universe is working perfectly, allowing you to let go, to power down, and to sink into the restorative depths of the bronze ocean. From the warm, sun-dappled waters of the Mediterranean, we now let our minds drift north, far north, crossing the vast expanse of the Eurasian continent until we reach the remote and silent wilderness of Siberia, specifically the region of the Podkamenya-Tunguska River. It is the morning of June 30, 1908, and the world here is held in a stillness so profound it feels like a vacuum, a vast landscape of pine forests, bogs, and permafrost that stretches for thousands of miles in every direction. The air is crisp and cold, filled with the scent of resin and damp moss, and the sun is just beginning to rise, casting a pale golden light over the endless canopy of the taiga. We are here to witness a moment of pure physics, an event that science has studied for over a century, not as a disaster, but as a magnificent display of kinetic energy and atmospheric interaction. Imagine you are floating high above this landscape, safe and detached, an observer of the impossible. The sky is a piercing blue, the atmosphere thin and stable. Suddenly, entering the upper atmosphere at a speed of 33,000 miles per hour comes a visitor from the depths of space, perhaps a fragment of a comet composed of ice and dust, or a small stony asteroid. It does not announce itself with a roar, but with a streak of blinding light, a column of blue-white radiance that splits the sky in two. This is the ionization of the air, the friction of the object moving so fast that it strips electrons from the nitrogen and oxygen atoms, creating a tunnel of plasma that glows brighter than the sun. As we watch in slow motion, we analyze the thermodynamics of this entry. The object is compressing the air in front of it, creating a bow shock of immense pressure. The temperature rises to tens of thousands of degrees, but the object does not strike the Earth. Instead, at an altitude of roughly 5 miles, the internal structural integrity of the cosmic traveler fails under the crushing aerodynamic loads. It does not crash, it detonates.
This is an airburst, a rapid conversion of kinetic energy into heat and shock waves. Because there is no impact crater, the mystery remained hidden for decades. But tonight, we understand the physics. The energy released is equivalent to 15 megatons of TNT, yet it is clean energy, a release of pure force. Now, watch the shock wave. It expands outward in a perfect sphere, a bubble of compressed air moving faster than the speed of sound. As it reaches the ground, it does not shatter the earth, it brushes it. This is the kinetic whisper. The force is so precisely directed that directly beneath the explosion, the trees remain standing, stripped of their branches, resembling telegraph poles, marking the epicenter, the ground zero of the event. But as the wave moves outward, it pushes the forest down. Imagine the millions of larch and pine trees not breaking, but bowing, lying down in a perfect radio pattern, pointing away from the center like the rays of a sun or the eyelashes of a sleeping giant. 80 million trees are flattened in a matter of seconds, yet the forest is silent.
The sound has not yet caught up to the pressure wave. It is a moment of geometric perfection carved into the wilderness. The physics of the blast are mesmerizing. The heat wave, the thermal pulse, flashes across the ground, singeing the bark of the trees. A brief touch of cosmic fire that leaves a butterfly-shaped burn pattern on the forest floor. And then the silence returns. The shock wave continues to travel, rolling over the curvature of the earth. It is a wave of energy so powerful that it circles the globe twice. In London, thousands of miles away, sensitive barometers twitch, recording the pulse of the Siberian air. In Washington, D.C., the wave is detected as a subtle shift in atmospheric pressure. The world felt the touch of Tunguska without knowing what it was. We focus on the aftermath, on the white nights that followed. For days after the event, the upper atmosphere was filled with ice crystals and dust from the disintegrated object. These particles caught the sunlight from the other side of the world, scattering it and creating luminous, glowing clouds that turned the night into a twilight. People in Europe could read newspapers at midnight by this ghostly, beautiful light. It was as if the atmosphere itself was phosphorescent, glowing with the memory of the event. This phenomenon, known as noctilucent clouds, is a peaceful reminder of how interconnected our planet's systems are. The dust from a single event in Siberia paints the skies of the world. Now bring your focus back to the forest. The energy has dissipated, the heat has faded. The trees lie in their radial slumber, covered by the slow, healing growth of moss and lichen. The absence of a crater is the most soothing part of the mystery. It means the Earth was not wounded, only brushed by the hand of the cosmos. It was a transfer of momentum, a conversation between a rock from the asteroid belt and the atmosphere of our planet. The lack of fragments, the lack of a smoking hole, leaves us with a ghost story of physics, a riddle written in flattened wood. The area remains remote, untouched by industrialization, a natural laboratory where the forest has slowly regrown, reclaiming the land. You feel a sense of profound isolation here, but it is a comfortable isolation. You are far from the noise of the city, far from the demands of society. You are in the realm of the elements. The air is pure and oxygen-rich. The ground is frozen solid, a stable platform of permafrost that holds the history of the world. You imagine the shock wave now as a heavy blanket, pressing down, smoothing out the worries of your mind, just as it smoothed out the forest. It is a pressure that grounds you, that holds you in place. The kinetic energy has transformed into potential energy, the potential for rest. The Tunguska Event is a reminder of the scale of the universe. We are small, and our problems are smaller.
The vastness of the Siberian taiga absorbs all sound, all anxiety.
The snow begins to fall in our visualization, soft white flakes drifting down from the gray sky, covering the fallen trees, covering the burn marks, turning the landscape into a pristine sheet of white. The snow muffles the world even further. It is a blanket of silence. The logic of the event is satisfied. We do not need to know exactly what the object was to appreciate the beauty of its interaction with our world. We respect the energy. We respect the physics. The unexplained nature of Tunguska is simply a gap in the data, a space for us to dream. As you drift over this frozen landscape, you feel the cold air slowing your metabolism, preserving this moment of peace. The pine trees that survived stand as sentinels, watching over your sleep. The geometry of the fallen trees guides your thoughts towards a center point, a point of stillness within yourself. You are the epicenter now. The shock waves of the day are moving away from you, fading into the distance, leaving you in the quiet zone, the standing calm. The ionization of the atmosphere has cleared, leaving the air fresh and electrically balanced. You breathe in this clarity. You feel the weight of the atmosphere, 14 pounds per square inch, hugging you, keeping you safe. It is a physical sensation of security. The Tunguska Event was a whisper in the ear of the earth, a reminder to be still. And now you listen to that whisper. It tells you that it is safe to let go. It tells you that nature is resilient, that the forest grows back, that silence always returns after the noise. The mystery dissolves into the white snow. You are floating in the cool blue twilight of the Siberian night. The stars emerge, sharp and clear, the same stars that watched the event in 1908. They are timeless, just as the laws of physics are timeless. You rest in the certainty of these laws. Gravity holds you. Thermodynamics warms you. The kinetic energy of the universe slows down to match the beating of your heart. You are drifting deeper into the taiga, deeper into the comfort of the unexplained, finding rest in the quiet power of the natural world.
Leaving the frozen silence of the Siberian taiga behind, we allow our minds to thaw and drift across the oceans and centuries, finding ourselves now in the hushed and hallowed atmosphere of a climate-controlled sanctuary, the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, where the light is dim and filtered through translucent marble panels to protect the treasures within. Resting on a velvet cushion in the center of a quiet study room is a small, unassuming volume bound in warm calfskin vellum. This is Manuscript 408, known to the world as the Voynich manuscript. It is a book that has refused to speak its name for 600 years, resisting the best efforts of code breakers, linguists, and supercomputers. But tonight, we do not approach it with the frustration of a riddle solver, but with the appreciation of a scientist observing a complex and beautiful natural phenomenon. Open the cover in your imagination and feel the texture of the pages. The vellum is smooth and creamy, made from processed animal skin that has survived since the early 15th century, holding the ink with a permanence that paper cannot match. As you turn the pages, you are greeted not by chaos, but by an overwhelming sense of order and rhythm. The text flows from left to right, written in an elegant looping script that looks deceptively familiar, like a memory of a language you once knew but have forgotten. The letters are round and fluid, grouping together into words that repeat with a statistical consistency that mirrors natural human speech. This is where science steps in to comfort us. Linguists who have analyzed these pages using the laws of probability and entropy have discovered that this is not random gibberish. It follows the rigid mathematical structure known as Zipf's law, which governs the frequency of words in every known language on Earth. This knowledge allows your brain to relax, knowing that there is a pattern here, there is a logic, even if the key remains turned in the lock. It is a linguistic algorithm, a code that hums with the hidden intelligence of its creator. You let your eyes scan the lines of text, the gallows characters that rise above the line like tall trees, the soft curves that cradle the vowels, creating a visual cadence that acts as a lullaby for the eyes. It is a stream of data that flows like a river, smooth, continuous, and calming. But it is the illustrations that truly draw you into the dream. The manuscript is filled with drawings of plants that exist nowhere on Earth, yet they seem to follow the biological rules of our planet. These are the algorithms of nature. Look closely at a drawing of a large green plant unfolding across a fold-out page. The roots are depicted with anatomical precision, branching out like the neural networks of the brain or the tributaries of a delta, anchoring the plant in the soil of the page. The leaves spiral around the stem in a pattern that suggests the artist understood the Fibonacci sequence, the mathematical ratio that governs the growth of pine cones and sunflowers. These are not fantasy plants, they are biological possibilities, hybrids of root, stem, and flower that celebrate the diversity of life. The green pigment, derived perhaps from copper or malachite, is still vibrant after centuries, a soothing, earthy tone that signals growth and life. You imagine the scribe sitting in a quiet monastery or a high tower, grinding the pigments, dipping the quill, and meticulously constructing this botanical garden of the mind. There is a profound peace in this act of creation. The artist was not documenting what they saw, but perhaps what they understood about the geometry of life. You turn another page and see complex circular diagrams, charts that look like astronomical maps or cellular structures viewed under a microscope. They are mandalas of science. The circles are concentric, radiating outward from a center point, filled with tiny stars and labels written in that same mesmerizing script. It looks like a clockwork of the heavens or the division of cells, a macrocosm and a microcosm intertwined. The rhythm of the unknown words begins to sound like a chant in your mind, soft and repetitive. Orc, kokadi, kol, dine. The sounds are meaningless yet musical, stripping away the need for you to process information. Usually, when we read, our brains are busy decoding meaning, parsing syntax, and retrieving definitions. But here, that burden is lifted. You are free to simply look, to simply be. The Voynich manuscript is a Rorschach test for the weary mind, a canvas where you can project your own desire for order. The blue ink, used sparingly for water and sky, is a deep, calming indigo, reminding you of the twilight hour. The detailed drawings of herbal jars and pharmaceutical roots suggest that this book was meant to heal, a compendium of medicinal knowledge for a world that has passed away. You feel a connection to that intent, the desire to heal, to preserve, to understand. The mystery of the text acts as a white noise, a barrier that blocks out the intrusive thoughts of the modern world. If the greatest cryptographers of the last century could not read this, then you certainly do not need to worry about it tonight. You are released from the obligation of understanding. You are floating in the space between the letters, in the white spaces of the vellum where the silence lives. The script is consistent, stable, and unwavering, page after page of disciplined handwriting. It suggests a mind that was focused, calm, and completely absorbed in the task. You borrow that focus now. you absorb the tranquility of the scribe. The unexplained nature of the book is its greatest gift. It represents the infinite capacity of the human imagination to create systems, to build worlds, to encode meaning. It reminds us that there are still secrets left in the world, that not everything has been databased and categorized. This thought feels spacious, opening up a room in your mind where you can rest. The text creates a rhythm, a visual frequency that resonates with the slow alpha waves of a relaxed brain. You trace the curve of a leaf with your mind's eye, following the ink line as it tapers to a point. The biological precision of the drawings, showing the stamen and pistil of the flowers, grounds the mystery in the physical world. This is science before science had a name.
This is observation turned into art. The smell of the old book, the faint scent of vanilla and almond that comes from aging paper fills your sensory imagination. It is the scent of history, the scent of time standing still. You feel the weight of the book in your hands, not heavy, but substantial, a tangible piece of the past. The folded pages, known as folios, open up to reveal larger diagrams, expanding the scope of the mystery. Some show women bathing in green pools, connected by complex plumbing or tubes, a strange biological machinery that hints at the cycle of life and water. It is a surreal, dreamlike image that fits perfectly with the logic of sleep. The water flows from one pool to another, just as your consciousness is flowing from one state to another, moving from wakefulness to the fluid world of dreams. The cipher protects the secrets of the book, just as your sleep protects the secrets of your mind. It is a safe deposit box for thoughts. The manuscript remains closed to the waking world, but open to the dreaming world. You are learning the language of the manuscript now, not through translation, but through osmosis. It is the language of flow, of curve, of nature's own handwriting. The algorithms of the plants, the branching of the veins in the leaves, the rotation of the stars in the charts, all speak of a universe that is organized and intelligent. You are part of that organization. You are a biological algorithm, a complex system of cells and energy that is currently entering a recharge cycle. The Voynich manuscript is your guide, its indecipherable pages a soft blanket of data that covers you. The letters seem to dance slightly, blurring as your focus softens. The green of the plants merges with the blue of the water. The script becomes a steady, rhythmic hum. You are closing the book now, gently, preserving the spine, respecting the age of the vellum. You place it back on the velvet cushion in the quiet, dim library. The mystery remains, safe and sound. The variables are lost, but the peace is found. You leave the library, stepping into the soft velvet darkness of your own sleep, carrying with you the image of those beautiful, impossible plants growing in the garden of your dreams, watered by the gentle rain of the unknown, secure in the knowledge that some things are beautiful precisely because they cannot be explained. From the botanical mysteries of the Voynich manuscript, we now navigate away from the realm of biology and enter the precise and disciplined world of cartography, traveling in our minds to the ancient city of Istanbul, specifically to the dusty and silent archives of the Topkapi Palace. It is the year 1929, and deep within the stacks of forgotten documents, a roll of gazelle skin parchment is discovered, dusty and brittle with age, unrolled to reveal a map drawn in the year 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. As we look at this map tonight, we are not looking for treasure, we are looking at the Earth itself,
viewing our planet through the eyes of a master navigator who compiled his work from 20 older source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. The map is a masterpiece of art and science, covered in delicate illustrations of ships, animals, and port cities. But the true anomaly, the detail that invites us to pause and wonder, lies at the very bottom of the parchment. Trace the coastline of South America with your mind's eye, moving south past Brazil, past Argentina, down to the tip of Tierra del Fuego, and then, instead of ending, the coastline continues, curving eastward to depict a landmass that should not be there, a landmass that we know today as Antarctica. But this is not the Antarctica of ice and snow that we are familiar with. This is Queen Maud Land, depicted free of ice, with flowing rivers, mountain ranges, and open valleys. This is where history meets climate science. The map presents us with a geological memory, a snapshot of the Earth from a time before the ice took over. We enter the realm of plate tectonics and glaciation, the slow, majestic shifting of the Earth's crust. Science tells us that Antarctica has not always been a frozen desert, that millions of years ago it was positioned further north, a temperate land of forests and life. As you listen, visualize the slow drift of the continents, the massive tectonic plates floating on the semi-molten mantle of the Earth like rafts on a slow-moving ocean. This movement is imperceptible to us in our daily lives, happening at the rate of fingernail growth, but over the eons it reshapes the face of the planet. The Piri race map invites us to contemplate deep time, a concept that is incredibly soothing, reminding us that the Earth operates on a scale of millions of years, making our current worries feel small and transient. The precision of the map is startling. The coastline corresponds to the subglacial topography of Antarctica, the actual shape of the land that is currently buried under miles of ice. In the 1950s, the United States Air Force Cartography Section analyzed this map and confirmed that the coastline depicted matches the seismic profiles of the continent beneath the ice cap. This is the unexplained phenomenon, a riddle of geography that suggests ancient mariners, or perhaps the source maps they used, had knowledge of the world that was lost to history. But tonight, we focus on the stability of the Earth. Think of the ground beneath you, the solid crust that supports the cities, the oceans, and your bed. It is a foundation of immense strength. The map is a testament to the human desire to know our home, to chart the boundaries of the known world. Piri Reis used a projection method that was mathematically advanced, preserving the relative accuracy of distances, a feat of trigonometry and spherical geometry. Imagine the mapmaker in his study, surrounded by compasses and astrolabes, drawing the lines of latitude and longitude with a steady hand, seeking to create order out of the chaos of the ocean. You are drawing a map of your own relaxation now. The lines are smooth and continuous. The idea of an ice-free Antarctica is a warm thought, a vision of a greener, softer world. But let us also appreciate the ice as it is today. The glaciation of Antarctica is a stabilizing force for the planet's climate, a massive heat sink that regulates the temperature of the globe. The ice sheet is miles thick, a heavy, silent blanket that presses down on the rock, a weight of millions of tons of water frozen in time. Visualizing this weight is grounding. It makes from the frozen, shifting coastlines of Antarctica, our journey now follows the magnetic field lines of the Earth, arcing upwards across the globe to the high northern latitudes of Scandinavia, settling gently into the deep, snow-covered embrace of the Hessdalen Valley in central Norway. The transition is smooth and cooling, transporting you from the ancient maps of the sea to a modern mystery of the air, a place where the laws of physics put on a silent, glowing performance in the dark theater of the night. You are standing in the center of the valley, The air is crisp and incredibly pure, filled with the sharp, clean scent of pine and fresh snow, the kind of cold that feels refreshing, tightening the skin and clearing the mind of all fog. The valley is a bowl of silence, roughly 7 miles long, surrounded by the rounded, majestic peaks of the spectating mountains, their silhouettes cut sharply against the star-studded sky. Tonight, we are here to observe the Hessdalen lights, not as UFOs or objects of fear, but as a masterpiece of plasma physics and electromagnetism. Imagine looking up towards the ridge where the dark tree line meets the indigo sky and seeing a soft, glowing orb of light materialize from nothingness. It is the size of a beach ball, pulsing with a warm, golden yellow hue, hovering silently above the treetops. This is the fourth state of matter, plasma, the same substance that makes up the sun and the stars, but here it is brought down to Earth, drifting through the cold Norwegian air. Science suggests that this valley is acting as a giant natural battery, a geological capacitor charged by the Earth itself. Visualize the geology beneath your feet. The valley floor is divided by the river Hessia, which contains sulfur, acting as the electrolyte in this massive chemical equation, while the mountains on one side are rich in copper and the mountains on the other are rich in zinc and iron. It is a perfect planetary circuit. When the atmospheric conditions are right, when the air is calm and the magnetic field is active, the valley turns on. The light you see is the discharge of this energy, a slow-motion spark gap that manifests as a beautiful floating sphere. Watch as the orb drifts slowly to the left, moving with a fluid, liquid grace, defying the erratic winds, guided instead by the invisible magnetic pathways of the valley. It is a hypnotic dance of electrons. Sometimes the light splits, dividing into 2 or 3 smaller geometric shapes, triangles or teardrops of luminescence that rotate around each other before merging back into one. This is the physics of dusty plasma, where microscopic particles of dust from the mining in the valley become suspended in the ionized gas, creating a structure, a scaffold of light. It is a Coulomb crystal, a lattice of energy hanging in the air. The silence remains unbroken. Unlike a jet or a drone, this phenomenon makes no sound. It is a phantom of pure energy. Scientists from around the world have set up the Blue Box, an automated observation station on the hillside filled with spectrographs, magnetometers, and cameras, watching this valley 24 hours a day. The spectrographs analyze the light and tell us that it contains the spectral signatures of scandium, silicon, and iron, confirming that this is a terrestrial phenomenon, a combustion of the very dust of the Earth. Knowing this makes the lights feel grounded, familiar, and safe. It is the Earth talking to itself in the language of photons. The idea that the ground beneath you is generating this beauty is comforting, a reminder that the planet is alive with energy. You feel the stability of the mountains around you, the great walls of Hessdalen, protecting this delicate reaction. The cold air acts as an insulator, keeping the reaction contained, keeping the plasma stable. As you watch the light change color, shifting from yellow to a cool metallic white, and then to a deep, sleepy red, you feel your own energy shifting. You are witnessing a natural battery discharging its potential, and in doing so, you are encouraged to discharge your own potential energy, to release the tension you have been holding. The valley is a container for stress, neutralizing it, turning it into light. The Hessdalen phenomenon is a reminder of the piezoelectric effect, where pressure on the quartz crystals in the rocks generates an electric charge. Even the rocks are participating in this symphony of physics. You imagine the stress and weight of the mountains pressing down, but instead of breaking, they create light. It is a beautiful metaphor for resilience. The light slowly begins to fade, dimming like a dying ember, its energy spent, returning to the invisible field from which it came. It leaves behind a trail of ionization, a subtle pathway in the air that you cannot see but can feel as a sense of clarity. The darkness of the valley returns, but it is not a frightening darkness. It is a soft velvet curtain that has fallen after a beautiful performance. The snow on the ground reflects the starlight, creating a faint ambient glow that illuminates the landscape in shades of blue and gray. You are wrapped in the thermal layers of your own comfort, insulated from the cold, watching the show from the safety of your mind's eye. The river Hesja continues to flow silently beneath the ice, the electrolyte current that powers the dream. The mystery of Hessdalen is not fully solved, and that is its charm. It lies in the zone of uncertainty, a place where science is still writing the equations. This gap in knowledge is a space for you to rest. You do not need to know the exact voltage to appreciate the light. You do not need to understand the plasma dynamics to feel the peace of the valley.
The unexplained here is simply nature showing off its complexity, revealing that there are still wonders in our own backyards. The orb reappears for a brief moment, a small, distant star hovering low over the horizon, blinking a slow rhythm. On, off, on, off. It is a lullaby of light. It matches the slow frequency of your brainwaves as you enter the alpha state. The Hessdalen lights are known to last for seconds or sometimes hours, existing in a state of suspended animation, just as you are now suspended between waking and sleeping. The plasma is buoyant, floating on the magnetic field, and you feel that same buoyancy, a sensation of weightlessness, as if gravity has slightly loosened its grip on you. The iron and zinc in the mountains, the sulfur in the river, the scandia in the dust, all of these elements are part of the same periodic table that makes up your body. You are connected to this valley. You are part of this circuit. The air is still. Not a breath of wind disturbs the trees. The calmness is absolute. The natural battery is recharging now, gathering energy for the next night, just as you are recharging. The scientific reality of the phenomenon, the ionization, the combustion, the electromagnetic fields, acts as a logical anchor, keeping your mind from wandering into fantasy, keeping it grounded in the incredible reality of the physical world. The Valley of Hessdalen is a laboratory of peace. The lights are the night lights of nature, burning cleanly, silently, and mysteriously. As the last glow fades completely into the dark pine forest, you are left with the profound stillness of the Norwegian winter. The cold is a preserving force, holding everything in stasis. The mountains stand guard. The river flows. The magnetic fields hum silently in the background. You drift deeper into the valley of sleep, guided by the afterimage of the plasma, a soft golden spot in your vision that leads you down into the warm, energized darkness of restorative rest, where the only unexplained phenomenon is the depth of your own tranquility. Leaving behind the glowing plasma of the Norwegian valley, we now expand our consciousness outward, far beyond the atmosphere, beyond the magnetic fields of Earth, tuning our senses to the vast and silent ocean of the cosmos. We travel back in time to a warm summer night on August 15, 1977, to a quiet cornfield in Delaware, Ohio, where a strange and magnificent structure sits under the stars. This is not the traditional telescope you might imagine, with a glass lens pointing up. This is the Big Ear, a radio telescope the size of 3 football fields, a massive grid of wire mesh and steel standing silent in the dark. It does not look, it listens. Tonight, we are listeners. We are tuning in to the frequency of the universe.
Imagine lying down in the grass beside this massive ear, the crickets chirping a rhythmic terrestrial song while the telescope hums with the electric potential of the stars. The concept here is radio astronomy, the science of catching invisible waves that have traveled for millions of years to reach us. The universe is not silent. It is filled with a constant, low-level static, the cosmic microwave background radiation, which is the afterglow of the Big Bang, a soothing white noise that permeates every inch of space. It is a blanket of sound, a hiss of energy that wraps around the galaxy. The Big Ear is designed to sift through this static, searching for a pattern, searching for order. Specifically, it is tuned to a very special frequency, 1420 megahertz. This is known as the hydrogen line, or the 21-centimeter line. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, the building block of stars and galaxies. And when a hydrogen atom changes its energy state, when its electron flips its spin, it emits a radio wave at exactly this frequency. It is the universal song of nature. Scientists call this the cosmic water hole, a quiet place in the radio spectrum where intelligent life might choose to meet, away from the galactic noise. Listening to this frequency is an act of supreme patience. It is a meditation on the vastness of time. Inside the small control room of the observatory, there are no flashing lights or sirens, only the scratching sound of a pen on a moving chart recorder. The data is not a picture. It is a sequence of numbers and letters printed on paper, representing the intensity of the radio waves hitting the antenna. The computer, an old IBM 1130, crunches the numbers with a slow, deliberate rhythm. The telescope is not tracking a specific star. It is fixed, allowing the rotation of the Earth to sweep its gaze across the sky. This is a comforting thought, that we do not need to chase the mysteries of the universe. We simply need to wait for the Earth to turn and reveal them to us. The rotation of the planet is the engine of our discovery. On this particular night, the telescope sweeps across the constellation of Sagittarius, looking towards the dense, star-rich center of our Milky Way galaxy. And then it happens. Out of the steady, low hum of the background static, a signal rises. It is not a random spike. It is a perfect bell-shaped curve of intensity. The pen on the chart recorder shoots up, marking a sequence of characters that has become legendary in the history of science. 6EUJ5. Each character represents a higher level of signal strength. It is a crescendo, a surge of narrow-band radio energy that is 30 times louder than the background noise. It is clear, it is distinct, and it is beautiful. It lasts for exactly 72 seconds. Why 72 seconds? Because that is the exact amount of time it takes for the Earth's rotation to move the telescope's beam across a single point in the sky. The signal did not stop. We simply turned away from it. This confirms that the signal was celestial, fixed in the stars, not a satellite or an airplane. It came from deep space. Days later, when the astronomer Jerry Amon looked at the printout, he was so struck by the anomaly that he circled the code in red pen and wrote a single word in the margin: "Wow." That word captures the feeling we have tonight, not fear, but a profound sense of wonder. The wow signal remains the strongest candidate for an extraterrestrial transmission ever detected, yet it never repeated. It was a singular moment of contact, a brief touch from the unknown. Think of it as a cosmic lighthouse beam sweeping across the dark ocean, catching our eye for just a moment before continuing its rotation. The silence that followed is just as important as the signal itself. It teaches us about the rarity of connection. We are drifting in a vast, quiet sea, and for 72 seconds we heard a voice. The frequency, 1420 megahertz is significant because it requires knowledge of quantum physics to understand. It suggests that whoever or whatever sent it understood the fundamental laws of the universe, just as we do. It is a shared language of physics. As you lie in the safety of your bed, imagine that radio wave traveling towards Earth. It originated in the star cluster M55 in the constellation of Sagittarius, traveling at the speed of light for thousands of years. It passed through nebulae, dodged asteroids, and traversed the empty void between stars, finally arriving in Ohio on a warm summer night. It is a journey of incredible endurance. The signal is a metaphor for a thought, a dream traveling through the night to reach you. The static of the universe is soothing, like the sound of rain on a roof, or the ocean crashing on the shore. It is the sound of existence. The unexplained nature of the wow signal does not create anxiety, rather it creates space. It leaves the door open for possibility. It reminds us that we are not the masters of the universe, but humble observers listening to the grand conversation of the cosmos. The signal was narrow-band, meaning it was focused, precise, and intentional, unlike the chaotic noise of natural quasars or pulsars. It had the signature of artificiality, or perhaps a natural phenomenon we have yet to understand. Either way, it was a gift of data. The chart paper with the red circle is a map of a moment in time that will never be repeated. You feel the rotation of the Earth now, the same rotation that swept the Big Ear across the signal. You are on a planet that is constantly turning, constantly revealing new horizons. This motion is a rocking sensation, a cradle that lulls you to sleep. The constellation of Sagittarius, the Archer, stands guard in the southern sky, a rich field of stars that holds the secret.
You visualize the radio waves as gentle ripples in the fabric of space-time, washing over you, carrying away the stress of the day. You are tuned in to the frequency of rest, 1420 megahertz, the vibration of hydrogen, the hum of the fundamental element. You are made of hydrogen, the water in your body, the molecules of your cells. You are resonating with the universe. The signal is not out there, it is part of the same matter that forms you. The distinction between the observer and the signal begins to fade. You are the telescope, and you are the star. The patience of the astronomers waiting night after night is the patience you embody now. There is no rush to find the answer. The waiting is peaceful. The static is a cushion. The red pen circling the data is a symbol of acknowledgement, a way of saying, I see you. You acknowledge your own need for sleep. You circle this moment in your mind and say, wow, appreciating the simple joy of resting. The radio waves pass through walls, through the roof, through your body, connecting you to the infinite. The mystery of the wow signal is a friendly mystery. It is a hello from the dark. It is a promise that there is more to discover. The computer hums, the pen stops scratching, the night air of Ohio cools down, and the crickets continue their song, oblivious to the galactic message. You drift deeper into the static, carried by the invisible waves, floating towards the center of the galaxy, protected by the distance, held by the gravity, listening to the soft, eternal whisper of the stars. The signal fades, but the peace remains. 1420 megahertz, 1420. The numbers dissolve, the red ink fades. There is only the soft, warm darkness of space, wrapping you in a blanket of silence as you drift into a sleep as deep and mysterious as the signal itself.
We descend now from the invisible, radio-filled silence of outer space, letting the gravity of our planet pull us gently back down through the atmosphere, past the clouds, and into the rich, oxygen-heavy air of Central America, specifically to the lush and vibrant Diquís Delta of Costa Rica. The transition is one of grounding, moving from the ethereal to the tangible,
from the weightless to the incredibly heavy. You are standing in a clearing within a dense tropical rainforest. The air is warm and humid, clinging to your skin like a soft mist, carrying the scent of wet earth, crushed leaves, and the sweet perfume of wild orchids. The sounds of the jungle are a rhythmic backdrop, the distant call of a toucan, the steady drip of water from the canopy leaves. But your attention is drawn to the ground, to the massive, silent shapes resting in the tall grass. These are the stone spheres of Costa Rica, known locally as Las Bolas. They are not jagged rocks or random boulders, they are perfect spheres, miracles of geometry sitting heavily in the mud. Walk up to one of the largest spheres, which stands taller than a human and weighs over 16 tons. Reach out your hand in your imagination and touch the surface. It is cool, damp, and incredibly smooth, covered in a thin layer of velvety moss that softens the contact. This is geology perfected. The stone is granodiorite, a hard, igneous rock that was formed millions of years ago from the slow cooling of magma deep beneath the Earth's crust. Feel the density of this material. It is solid, unyielding, and permanent. The mystery here is one of formation and precision. How did these stones achieve such perfect sphericity in a world where nature usually favors the irregular? Some geologists suggest a process called exfoliation, or onion skin weathering, where layers of rock peel off in curved sheets due to temperature changes, naturally rounding the stone over eons. It is a soothing thought, imagining the earth slowly shedding its rough edges, refining itself through the patience of time. But the precision here suggests something more. It suggests the hand of ancient engineers. We visualize the indigenous sculptors of the Dikis culture, working without metal tools, using harder stones to peck and grind the granodiorite into shape. Imagine the sound of that work, a rhythmic, repetitive tapping that echoes through the prehistoric jungle. Tap, tap, tap. It is a hypnotic sound, the sound of abrasion, the sound of slow, deliberate progress. They used sand and water to polish the surfaces, turning the rough rock into a sphere of mathematical exactness. This process is a meditation on friction and erosion. It reminds us that with enough time and patience, even the hardest obstacles can be smoothed away. Run your hand along the curve of the sphere again. There are no corners, no sharp edges, no beginning and no end. The sphere is the most peaceful shape in the universe, representing wholeness and unity. In a world of chaos, the sphere offers a resting place for the eye and the mind.
The mathematics of these stones are baffling, with diameters that are consistent to within millimeters. To achieve this, the ancients must have understood the concept of the center point and the radius, using ropes and central stakes to measure the curvature from every angle. It is geometry in the jungle. The weight of the sphere is a key part of its power. 16 tons of solid rock. Feel that weight in your own body now, not as a burden, but as a grounding force. You are sinking into your mattress, just as these stones have sunk into the soft soil of the delta. Gravity is holding you. You are as immovable as the stone. The rain begins to fall in our story, a warm tropical shower that washes over the sphere, turning the gray stone into a dark, glistening black. The water flows over the curve, following the path of least resistance, dripping off the equator of the stone into the earth. The sound of the rain on the stone is a soft drumbeat, a white noise that drowns out all other thoughts. Geology is the study of deep time, and these stones are time travelers. They have sat here for 1,000 years, while civilizations rose and fell, while the forest grew and receded. They are indifferent to the passage of time. They simply exist. This existence is what you are emulating now.
You are not doing, you are simply being. The granodiorite is composed of quartz, feldspar, and mica, minerals that lock together in a tight crystalline structure. This structure gives the stone its immense strength. You borrow that strength. You feel the stability of the ground beneath you. The sphere does not worry about the storm. It does not worry about the heat. It rests in its own mass. Some of the spheres are arranged in lines pointing towards the magnetic north or aligned with the setting sun, suggesting that they were used as compasses or astronomical calendars. This connects the heavy stone of the earth with the movement of the sky, a union of the soil and the stars. But tonight, we focus on the earth. We focus on the texture. Some spheres are rougher, pitted by the centuries, covered in lichen. Others are polished to a sheen. This variety is like the texture of our own days, some rough, some smooth, but all eventually rounded by the river of time. The jungle grows around them, the roots of the fig trees wrapping gently around the base of the stones, embracing them. Nature does not reject these artificial objects, it reclaims them. The biology and the geology merge. You feel a sense of heavy relaxation spreading through your limbs, your arms and legs feeling like heavy stones, pleasantly weighted down. You cannot lift them, and you do not want to. The inertia is comforting.
The concept of potential energy is relevant here. The sphere sits still, possessing the potential to roll, but choosing to stay. You are choosing to stay. You are choosing stillness. The Dickies Delta is far from the modern world, a place of primal rhythms. The oxygen levels are high, feeding your brain, helping you to descend into the deeper stages of sleep. The stone spheres are anchors. Imagine tying your busy thoughts to one of these massive stones and watching them sink into the soft earth, grounded, neutralized, and held fast. The mystery of how they were moved remains, but we do not need to solve it. Maybe they were rolled on logs. Maybe they were floated on rafts. The method is less important than the result, a landscape of perfect, heavy, silent globes. The symmetry is satisfying to the subconscious mind. There are no jarring angles to interrupt your rest. The sphere is a closed loop, a cycle of continuous sleep. As the tropical rain clears, the steam rises from the warm stones, a mist that shrouds the clearing in a dreamlike fog. You are alone here in the best possible way, accompanied only by the silent giants. The geology of the earth is your pillow. The density of the planet supports you. You are safe in the garden of stones. The unexplained precision of the carving is a testament to human focus, a reminder that we can create order. But now the work is done. The grinding is finished. The polishing is complete. There is nothing left to do but rest. The stone waits. The jungle breathes. And you, heavy and relaxed, drift deeper into the soil of sleep, guided by the perfect, unending curve of the sphere.
Leaving the heavy, moss-covered spheres of the tropical jungle, we now ascend, rising up into the dry, crystalline air of the American Southwest, drifting northwards to the high desert plateau of Taos, New Mexico, where the landscape is painted in shades of terracotta, sage green, and the deep, endless indigo of the twilight sky. You are standing now on the edge of the Rio Grande Gorge, a vast rift in the volcanic rock where the earth has cracked open to reveal the dark basalt beneath. And behind you rise the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, their peaks glowing softly with the last purple light of the setting sun. The air here is thin and pure,
carrying the scent of pinyon wood smoke and dry earth, a scent that triggers a primal memory of shelter and warmth. It is quiet here, famously quiet, but if you listen closely, if you still your mind and tune out the wind and the sagebrush, you might hear it, a sound that is more of a feeling than a noise. This is the Taos hum, a low-frequency rumble that has puzzled residents and scientists for decades, described often as the faint, distant sound of a diesel engine idling miles away, or the deep, rhythmic purring of a giant cat. Tonight, we do not treat this hum as a disturbance, but as the ultimate lullaby, a sonic blanket woven from the very vibrations of the planet. Science calls this infrasound, sound waves with a frequency below 20 hertz, too low for the human ear to consciously hear as a distinct tone, but powerful enough to be felt by the body as a subtle pressure, a comforting heaviness that rests on the chest and the shoulders. We explore this mystery through the lens of geology. You are standing on top of the Rio Grande Rift, a tectonic boundary where the North American continent is slowly, imperceptibly pulling apart. Imagine the sheer mass of the continental crust, miles thick, grinding against itself in slow motion, a geological friction that generates a resonant frequency. This is the sound of the Earth stretching, the sound of the planet settling into a more comfortable position. Visualizing this deep tectonic movement is incredibly grounding. You feel connected to the bedrock, to the solid foundation of the world. The hum is the heartbeat of the crust, a steady, unvarying drone that acts as a focal point for your meditation. It is a white noise for the soul, blocking out the sharp, high-pitched frequencies of daily life and replacing them with a smooth, bass-heavy wave. As you listen, or rather as you feel this vibration, you begin to understand the concept of resonance. Your body is a vessel, and it is beginning to resonate with this low frequency. Your heart rate slows down to match the rhythm of the earth. Your breathing deepens, expanding your lungs to their full capacity, then releasing the air slowly, sinking deeper into the ground with every exhale. There is another theory, one that turns the focus inward to the miracle of your own biology. Some audiologists believe the Taos hum is not external, but internal, a phenomenon known as otoacoustic emissions. This suggests that in a place of such profound silence as the high desert, your ears begin to create their own sound, the tiny hair cells in the cochlea vibrating in a feedback loop. In this version of the story, the hum is the sound of your own nervous system, the rushing of blood through the capillaries near your ear, the electrical firing of neurons. It is the sound of life itself. The silence of Taos is so deep that it acts as an amplifier for the quiet machinery of your body. This is a comforting thought, that the sound you hear is the sound of your own existence, a confirmation that you are alive, that you are functioning, that your heart is pumping warm blood through your veins. Whether the sound comes from the tectonic grinding of the rocks or the biological rivers within you, the effect is the same. It is a continuous, unbroken wave of sound. It has no melody, no lyrics, no sudden changes. It is the definition of monotony, and monotony is the gateway to sleep. The hum acts as a sound shadow, masking the erratic noises of the night. You walk slowly towards a small adobe house in the distance, its thick earthen walls built from the very mud of this plateau. Adobe is an excellent acoustic insulator, absorbing high frequencies but allowing the low, comforting rumble of the earth to permeate the room. You enter the house and lie down on a soft bed, the heavy wool blanket weighing you down pleasantly. The room is dark, lit only by the starlight filtering through a small window. You close your eyes and let the hum wash over you. It feels like you are floating in a boat on a calm ocean, the low engine of the water beneath you. The frequency is hypnotic. It vibrates in your bones, relaxing the muscles in your lower back, your jaw, your hands. You visualize the sound waves as large, slow ripples moving through the desert sand, smoothing everything out. The Taos hum is a reminder of the Schumann resonances, the global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in the cavity formed by the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. You are tuned in to the planet's natural frequency, roughly 7.83 Hertz. This is the frequency of the theta brainwave state, the state of deep relaxation and dreaming. The environment of Taos is forcing your brain to slow down, to synchronize with the planet. It is a form of entrainment. You are no longer fighting the current, you are drifting with it. The mystery of the hum does not need to be solved tonight. If it is the earth, then the earth is singing to you. If it is your body, then your body is singing to you. The ambiguity is soft and hazy, like the edge of a dream. The mountains outside stand as silent sentinels, blocking the winds, creating a bowl of stillness where the hum can accumulate. The air in the room is cool, but the blankets are warm. You feel a heavy sensation in your limbs, a lead blanket feeling that is the precursor to deep sleep. The sound is a drone, a mantra, an eternal Om that has no beginning and no end.
You sink deeper into the mattress, feeling the support of the bed, which is supported by the floor, which is supported by the adobe foundation, which is supported by the massive basalt shelf of the rift. You are held up by layers of strength. The grinding of the tectonic plates is not violent. It is a slow geological adjustment, a shifting of weight that creates balance. You too are adjusting, shifting your weight, finding your balance. The low frequency massages your mind, smoothing out the wrinkles of worry. It is a physical sensation, a gentle vibration that travels from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. The diesel engine metaphor transforms into something softer, like the purring of a large feline or the distant sound of ocean surf. It is a constant. In a world of variables, the hum is a constant. You can rely on it. It will be there when you wake up, and it will be there while you sleep. It creates a safe container for your consciousness. The sensory perception of the sound blurs with the darkness behind your eyelids. You can see the sound as a dark, warm color, perhaps a deep maroon or a charcoal gray, filling the room. The blood rushing in your ears is a river of tranquility. The nerves in your auditory cortex are calming down, accepting the signal as a background texture, not a warning. The Taos hum is the earth whispering, "Sleep." It is the sound of the planet turning on its axis. You are microscopic compared to the source of the sound, and this scale is reassuring. You do not need to be in control. The forces at work are massive, ancient, and benign. You surrender to the gravity. You surrender to the acoustic wave. The desert night wraps you in its cool embrace, and the hum carries you down, 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 into the deepest, darkest, most resonant caverns of sleep, where the only thing that exists is the slow, steady rhythm of the earth and the peaceful silence of your own resting mind. We leave the physical weight of the Taos Plateau and the heavy stone spheres behind, shrinking down now, past the level of biology, past the level of chemistry, descending into the very fabric of reality itself, into the subatomic realm of the quantum universe. This is the deepest part of our journey, a place where the rules of the daylight world no longer apply,
where the rigid lines of logic soften into the fluid waves of possibility. You are floating in a void that is not empty, but filled with potential, a velvet darkness where particles and waves dance in a shimmer of uncertainty. We stand before the most famous puzzle in the history of science, the double-slit experiment, a riddle that suggests the universe knows when we are watching it. Imagine a simple setup in this dark laboratory of your mind, a barrier with two vertical slits cut into it, and behind it, a detector screen. If we fire marbles at this barrier, they pass through the slits and make two bands on the wall. This is how matter behaves, solid and predictable. But when we fire electrons, the building blocks of your body and the stars, something miraculous happens. They do not just form two bands, they form an interference pattern, a series of many bands, rippling out like water waves. This means the single electron went through both slits at the same time, interfering with itself, existing in a state of superposition. It was here and there, everywhere and nowhere, all at once. This is the state of the dream. But here is the unexplained twist that bends reality. If we place a detector, an observer, to see which slit the electron actually goes through, the wave function collapses. The electron instantly stops acting like a ghost and snaps into a solid particle, behaving just like a marble again. The mere act of observation changed the history of that particle. Think about what this means for you tonight. All day long, you have been the observer. Your eyes have been the detectors, pinning reality down, forcing the world to be solid, forcing tasks to be completed, forcing time to move forward. The world is hard and defined because you are looking at it. But now, as you lie in bed, you are closing your eyes. You are turning off the detector. You are choosing to stop observing. And as you withdraw your attention, the world around you begins to relax. The furniture in the room, the walls of the house, the city outside, everything softens, losing its rigid edges and returning to a state of pure potential. You are allowing the wave function of your life to expand. You are no longer a single point in space and time. You are becoming a wave, spreading out comfortably into the darkness. The line between the dreamer and the dream begins to blur. In the quantum world, there is a principle called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which states that we cannot know both the position and the speed of a particle with perfect precision. The more we know one, the less we know the other. Tonight, we embrace this uncertainty. We do not need to know where we are going, and we do not need to know how fast we are getting there.
We surrender the need for precision. We float in the beautiful fog of probability. The pillow beneath your head is made of atoms that are mostly empty space, vibrating fields of energy that only feel solid because of the electromagnetic forces repelling each other. You are energy, resting on energy. The concept of entanglement tells us that two particles, once connected, remain connected across infinite distances, instantaneously sharing a state of being. You are entangled with the stars we visited earlier. You are entangled with the silence of the ocean. You are entangled with the slow rotation of the earth. Distance is an illusion in this realm. You are everywhere at once. The unexplained nature of quantum mechanics is not a source of confusion, but a source of freedom. It means that reality is not a cage, it is a canvas, waiting for your consciousness to paint it. But tonight, you are putting down the brush. You are letting the canvas return to white. You are stepping back from the role of the creator and the witness. The observer effect fades as your breathing slows. The reality of your waking life, with its deadlines and definitions, is collapsing, but not into nothingness. It is collapsing into peace. You visualize the particles of your thoughts slowing down,
losing their kinetic energy, cooling towards absolute zero, a state of perfect stillness where all motion ceases. This is the quantum Zeno effect, the idea that a system can be frozen in its state by constant observation, but you are doing the reverse. You are unfreezing the system by looking away. You are looking inward into the vast, hollow spaces within your own atoms. There is so much room in there, so much quiet space. You are drifting through the electron cloud, a mist of probability where anything can happen, but nothing has to happen. The logic of the day dissolves. In dreams, you can fly. You can be in two places at once. Time can move backward, and this is perfectly consistent with the laws of quantum physics. The dream world is the quantum world. You are returning to your natural state. The collapse of the wave function sounds dramatic, but tonight it is a gentle settling, like snow falling on a lake. The ripples stop. The water becomes glass. You feel a profound sense of relief that you do not have to hold the world together with your gaze. The universe can manage itself. The laws of physics will keep the planets orbiting and the sun burning while you sleep. You are free to let go of the steering wheel. The blurred line between subject and object, between you and the bed, vanishes. You are part of the equation. You are a variable that is being solved for rest. The darkness behind your eyes is the quantum void, rich and fertile.
It is the vacuum energy, the background hum of the universe that exists even in empty space. You are supported by this invisible scaffolding. The unexplained is simply the limit of our current vision, and beyond that limit lies the comfort of the infinite. You feel weightless, as if gravity is just another theory that you can choose to ignore. You are a photon of light traveling through the dark, massless and timeless. The paradoxes of physics are lullabies for the intellectual mind. Schrodinger's cat is both asleep and awake, but you are definitely falling asleep. The duality resolves into unity. There is no this or that. There is only the drift. The hard particles of your worries dissolve into waves of relaxation, flowing out of you, rippling away into the ether. You are entering the coherent state where all the waves of your being are in sync, oscillating together in a slow, rhythmic pulse. This is the deepest level of rest, where the observer finally closes their eyes and becomes the observed. The experiment is over for the day. The data has been collected. The laboratory lights are dimming. The screen is blank. The particles are free to dance in the dark, unseen, unmeasured, and undisturbed. You drift deeper into this probabilistic fog where reality bends and wraps around you like a warm, soft blanket of space-time, safe in the knowledge that when you wake, the world will be there, solid and waiting. But for now, it is soft, it is fluid, and it is yours to dream. We have traveled far tonight, crossing the boundaries of time and space, drifting from the ancient sands of Peru to the frozen taiga of Siberia, from the depths of the ocean to the radio silence of the stars. And now, finally, we return to the center, to the point of origin, to the stillness of your own room and the quiet sanctuary of your own body. The journey through the unexplained is complete, and we arrive at the final destination, which is the universal constant, the state of absolute rest known as stasis. As you lie here, supported by the mattress and the gravity of the earth, we reflect on the one law of physics that rules over all others in this moment, the law of entropy. Often, we think of entropy as chaos or the breaking down of things, but tonight, we reframe it as the universe's natural tendency towards relaxation, towards equilibrium.
Everything in the cosmos seeks a lower energy state. The hot cup of tea cools to room temperature. The bouncing ball eventually comes to a stop. The mountain slowly settles into the plain, and you, the traveler, settle into sleep. This is not a failure of energy, it is the ultimate success of physics. It is the universe sighing with relief. All the mysteries we have explored, the stone spheres, the plasma lights, the strange manuscripts, they all abide by this law. They exist in a state of quiet endurance, and now you join them. The concept of the unexplained is no longer a source of curiosity or mental activity. We realize now that what we call the unexplained is simply science waiting to be born. It is knowledge that is currently resting in the womb of the future. We do not need to solve the riddles tonight. We can leave the variables undefined. We can leave the equations unbalanced. There is a profound comfort in admitting that we do not know everything, for in that lack of knowledge, there is space, vast, open, peaceful space where the mind can stop working. The archives are closed, the telescope is capped, the map is rolled up. We turn our attention now to the simple, undeniable biology of your own existence. Your body is a masterpiece of engineering, more complex than the Antikythera mechanism, more precise than the pyramids, and it knows exactly what to do. You are entering the biological phase of shutdown. Deep within your brain, the pineal gland is releasing melatonin, the chemical messenger of darkness, flowing through your bloodstream like a calm river, signaling to every cell that the time for output is over and the time for maintenance has begun. Feel your heart rate slowing down, not because you are forcing it, but because it is syncing with the rhythm of the resting world. Thump, thump, silence. Thump, thump, silence.
The space between the beats is getting longer, stretching out into a pause that feels infinite. You are matching the rotation of the Earth. Our planet spins on its axis at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, a constant, unshakable motion that creates the cycle of day and night. You are a passenger on this massive vessel. You do not need to steer, you do not need to navigate. You simply need to lie back and let the planet carry you into the shadow. The Earth protects you from the sun, turning its back to the light so that you may have the darkness necessary for sleep. Imagine this rotation as a rocking motion, a slow planetary cradle that has been rocking life to sleep for billions of years. The gravity that holds you to the bed is the same gravity that holds the moon in its orbit. It is the universal constant of connection. You are held. You are heavy. The muscles in your legs, your arms, your back, they are releasing their potential energy, turning into dead weight, sinking into the soft fibers of the bedding. The tension evaporates like mist in the morning sun. The unexplained phenomena we spoke of are just reminders that the universe is magical, and sleep is the daily magic we all perform. You close your eyes and the visual world disappears, replaced by the warm, dark velvet of your inner vision. This is the event horizon of sleep, the point of no return where the pull of rest becomes stronger than the pull of the waking world. You are drifting across this horizon now. The questions of the day lose their sharp edges, becoming soft and amorphous. The why and the how dissolve, leaving only the is. You are. You exist. You rest. The breath moves in and out of your lungs with a tidal rhythm, ocean waves crashing softly on the shore of your consciousness. In and out, rising and falling. It is an automatic process, controlled by the autonomic nervous system, the part of you that never sleeps so that the rest of you can. You trust this system. You trust your body.
The scientific feeling of the story fades into a feeling of pure being. The history books are shelved, the data is stored. The laboratories of the mind are powering down, the lights flickering off one by one, leaving only the safety lights of your dreams.
You are returning to the primal state, the state of the seed in the winter ground, the state of the bear in hibernation, the state of the stone in the desert. Stasis. It is a stillness that is not empty, but full of restoration. Your cells are repairing themselves. Your memories are being organized. Your energy is being replenished. This is the most productive thing you can do right now, to do nothing, to simply drift. The silence in the room is heavy and thick, a protective substance that fills the corners and covers you like a blanket. The temperature of your body drops slightly, mimicking the cooling of the earth at night. You are becoming one with the environment. The distinction between you and the room, between the room and the house, between the house and the night is blurring. It is all just one field of energy, quiet and calm. The universal constant is peace. It is the background radiation of your soul. No matter what happens in the turbulent upper layers of the atmosphere, down here, on the surface, in the deep valleys of sleep, there is only calm. You are the observer who has stopped observing. You are the listener who has stopped listening. You are the traveler who has come home. The logic of the universe wraps around you, a mathematical proof that everything is going to be okay. The equation balances out to zero. Zero stress, zero worry, zero movement, just the gentle microscopic vibration of your atoms humming in the dark. The unexplained is simply the night whispering its secrets to you, secrets that do not need words, secrets that are felt as a heaviness in the eyelids and a warmth in the chest. You are safe. You are grounded. You are drifting into the deep, timeless, scientific embrace of sleep. The rotation continues. The stars watch. The gravity holds. And you, infinite and at rest, float into the stasis, drifting, 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 until there is nothing left but the sleep.